Well, hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to talk a little bit about leisure and idleness as compared with knowledge and wisdom. We're going to talk about the differences between each of those two comparisons and how they interact with each other across the spectrum there. So let's talk about leisure. Leisure is something that happens when somebody has an active and productive mind and work life. Leisure is that time when the person walks away from their actual work life, that their means of support and things like this. When they walk away from that, but they still stay active in doing something, and they take some time off, this leisure time. These type of people don't just sit around, doing a Joe Biden, tanning their body on the beach for hours on end. No, they might do that for a little bit with a family, but these type of people are going to be more pursuing things that produce something. That they'll find time for their hobbies. They'll find time for taking the family camping or doing something, or taking them to the beach in the first place. But they're not going to sit around quietly on the beach just doing nothing. These type of people need to be doing something. They'll be the people out there building the sand castles. They'll be out there trying to keep the kids busy and whatnot. It's leisure because it's away from their work, and it gives their brain some time to enjoy things. And that's what leisure does. And leisure can come in all different forms. It can come in whatever your passion is. So that's leisure. Now, idleness comes from a situation of not having any productivity going on. You're sitting around just not having anything to do or anywhere to go in particular. You're the person sitting on the beach for hours at a time with no other movement, no other indication of engagement with anybody. You're just alone with your thoughts, and this is where the problem starts. Have you ever heard the old adage, idle hands are a devil's workshop? Well, it's true, because idleness is a consuming and empty sort of place to be in. It takes your time, it takes your energy, but it gives you nothing back in return. Whereas leisure will consume your time, it will consume your energy, but there will be something productive that comes out of it. And this is where the God element is, the good side of things, is in with your leisure pursuits and not your idleness and sitting, in a sort of vacuous sort of nothing bubble going on. So leisure has an element of godliness to it, goodliness to it, and whereas idleness has more of a lack of goodness to it. It has more of a consuming and using up of resources type of thing. It's not building anything. And then we transit over to knowledge and wisdom. So knowledge is available to everybody. Knowledge you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have a sense of goodness about it, or a feeling about where does this lead to and how does this all fit together and what matters, if you don't have that guiding your principles of gathering knowledge, you can have volumes of knowledge. We see this on college campuses all the time, but they don't have any God element to it, no pursuit of goodness. They may be pursuing what they might call virtue, and these are things that are given to situations by men. These are not things that are necessarily directed by God as far as what is virtuous. Virtuous might be more of what men consider to be the good things that gives credit back to other men, not to God, so to speak. So this is where the people who are in the pursuit of knowledge all the time, and if they don't have a God element to their behavior, they are never going to attain wisdom. Now, wisdom is those same people who may have gathered knowledge, or maybe they didn't, but wisdom can come to people who are looking for those things that are good in the world and of God, that are eternal and that never change. And these are the things that are fixed goodnesses in God's creation. These are things that are always going to be true. And so that's why the wise man is the one that people need to be following, not the knowledgeable one. You can get knowledge all over TikTok. Very rarely will you find anything in there of wisdom. So, but this is where our generations are heading right now. We have a great number of our people in the world, not just in this country, are gathering their information and their news and their ideas and their concepts of reality through this. And this is very, very troubling, because this comes out of not so much a leisure type of thinking, but more of an idleness kind of thinking. And so there isn't always God that, or goodness, that's the focus of things on the internet. So with the leisure versus idleness situation going on, it's pretty easy to understand that leisure can go with wisdom, whereas idleness can go with knowledge, the gaining of knowledge. It doesn't mean they're not working at it to gather this knowledge. It just means that they're not applying it in a way that's creating anything of goodness in the world. It may make them feel that they know things that other people don't, but what good is that if it's not applied in a pursuit of creating something, building something, lifting something up? If it's all about trying to destroy and to isolate and to tribalize types of thinking, that's not good. That's not the godliness in the world, and that's not what we should be pursuing. Now, too often we have this kind of work that goes on with, people in our religion, our world of religion, or the industry, as I like to call it. They're many times looking to try to divide and separate and extol their virtues, which are man concepts, and trying to make that equate with God's wisdom and God's law about things. And it might be striving towards that, but if it's not putting God at the top of the stairs type of thing, it's always going to miss the mark, and it's always going to fail, come short in some way, shape, or form. But they are still learning, and they're gathering knowledge, but they're not trying to find the wisdom in things. So this all kind of comes together with hearing my mother's life story. And as a lot of you may know, my mother is nearing 100 years old this next month. And I've been trying to gather from her, as I've done from older people all my professional career as an auctioneer, to try to ask them what advice do they have for a guy my age, and also to understand what it was that they filled their days with, and what was their life, aspirations, what was their driving forces between work and a off-work sort of balance, and what did they do, and how did they use that time? Well, when my mother grew up during the Depression, time was not necessarily abundant, because what they had to do with their time was to make things, create things, and take care of the needs that they had for their life. It was much harder to take care of these things. They had to, go get their water. They had to go get their provisions. They had to go grow their food. And then they had to harvest the food, and then they had to, make sure that food was safeguarded without lots of refrigeration and things like that available to them. It was a whole lot different ball game back then. But what folks of that time did and that age did was they didn't have idleness. They didn't have time to just sit and do nothing. Because even their time off from their work, their leisure pursuits, were productive in nature. Men would get shop tools, these old different all-in-one devices. The shopsmith were so popular for men back in the days gone by. They would have a shopsmith in their garage. They would make things. If they needed to turn a new spindle for a chair that got broken, they would make it. They would just go to their shopsmith and create this thing. If they wanted to make a new picture frame for an odd-sized picture, they would make it in the garage. They would do these things. Women would take on more leisurely activities for them. Might be knitting, crocheting, things like this, sewing, needlework. These were not work necessarily, but these were leisurely pursuits. But even in their time down from work, they were making things. They were creating things. They were doing stuff that was productive. To have time to just sit and do nothing, watch the grass blow, was a really rare situation and usually led to more frustration in people like this because they always thought to themselves, I could be doing something. Because it wasn't about they felt obligated to do something. They were just trying to not lose time because time was so precious to them, and the work and the value that it could bring to their life mattered. And today's day and age, people are so accustomed to needing something. They just go to the store, they find a way to get it paid for, let somebody else pay for it, whatever it may be. The deals and things that have changed in the world. And this is part of the reason why we see such a difference in the expectations and the thoughts and leadership coming out of people this day and age. They just aren't aware of how wonderful they have it here. And it's not because of things that they necessarily did, but it's more about things that their forefathers did and that God allowed them to create, with their abundance of talents that he was being the focus for. So right now, I think we've got a lot of unused talent in the world right now. We have people are not maximizing their lives. I don't even think they're really pushing their lives. I don't think they're really trying that hard. We have a lot of people are just happy to be idle and without any kind of demands upon their life to do anything. And this allows this vacuum in their life to be invaded by crazy thoughts and ideas on TikTok and other things like that elevate the individual up and doesn't create this godly kind of community that I think that our Lord wanted us to be doing in this world. I don't think he cared so much what churches evolved and things like that. I think he cared more about, do you believe in me? Do you understand me? Are you trying? I think that's what he was really shooting for. He tried to make membership in his club very easy. Take me as your savior, and you're in. But then I want you to continue that by not just sitting back and being idle. I want you to do things. Once you've taken care of yourself, start taking care of others. This is what we should be trying to do and striving to do. And we can take care of others many times in our lives by putting our leisure time to good work. And then also knowing the difference between knowledge and wisdom, and knowing that you can know everything that the encyclopedias or the internet has to tell you about things, but unless you bring God into that formula, you will not achieve wisdom, because there's a big difference that goes with the two. And it's just one of those things I think we need to focus on a little bit, understand the meaning of words and what it is that we're doing with our time. And how is that being used, and are we using it in ways that are productive and creating and lifting things up, or even just sitting it, letting it decay and not doing anything? That becomes more of like a devil's type of workshop and can lead to trying to convince somebody with an idle nature that this cockamamie idea over here is going to be a good thing. We should try it. No, you got to stick with the wisdom. You got to stick with the virtues, and you got to stick with, keeping active and building things and making things. That's why I say a lot of times, I love you, but get out there and make something. Do something today. I don't care if it's just sweeping the floor. It's do something. Don't be a layabout. Don't be non-productive where you say, well, I'll put it off till tomorrow. Get up and do something. This is where self-esteem comes from. Nobody can give you self-esteem. All they can do is just try to puff you up full of hot air, by telling you how great you are. If you don't believe it, you won't feel the self-esteem, and then you'll feel more depressed about things. And that's no way to go through life depressed. You should go through life with a sense of urgency and a sense of desire to do more or to try things. It's a big world. Try it out. Go live it. So enough of that. I think you got enough things to think about through that, but try to understand the difference between leisure and idleness and knowledge and wisdom. There's leisure and wisdom are the real things that you want to pursue and want to have as part of your life. Idleness and knowledge, are just not productive in this way. They're going to build you up. It's not going to make you better. It's not going to bring you to a fuller understanding and a happiness and joy that you want to have in your life. So think about that. Well, in the meantime, my good friend Alex, who will be in here, I think he's coming in tomorrow. We're going to talk more about this situation with the Sister Benedicta apparitions down in Colombia and Mike McCormick's recent book here, An Almost Insurmountable Evil. And I like the way he put almost in the title of the book, because that gives him a back out plan that all is not lost. But we're going to talk more about that. And one of the things that's also come up with the evolving nature of this particular podcast, and I thank those who watch it and are spreading it around. I have a couple people that copy the podcast and post it on other sites and things like that they're a part of, or their groups, educational groups or whatnot. We allow that. Go for it. But Alex and I would like to expand things a little bit and try to get some outside voices in here with sort of a split screen type of thing. And that requires some more video equipment and a little bit more software for us to be able to platform and be able to work with other people where they are. It might be different parts of the world. It might be around the corner and somebody who can't get here into the studio type of thing. But what we want to be able to do is to be able to expand what we can offer to folks here. So what we like is if anyone out there wants to help us out, we'd be glad to accept your help. We are a 501c3, so any donations are tax deductible if you're counting your donations. We can take checks. I can take Venmo. I can take Zelle. We can also receive PayPal. So all those methods are available. If anyone wants to help us out, we would love to have the support on that, because this isn't free for us to do this, and we never ask for money for subscribers or things like that. I just think that this is the kind of thing that we need to do, not just with our leisure time, but with our productive, focus here. So we're definitely not staying idle. Alex is pulling his hair out this week with trying to put all these connective tissues together to try to bring in a very sound and sane discussion about the situation here what Mike McCormick has unveiled about the workings of not just the U.S. government, but foreign governments, the Vatican, and the media. So how these things have all kind of been intertwined together and intermixed, not for God's purposes. So we're going to talk about that. But if you can help us out, and if you want to get connected on our Zelle or Venmo accounts, I can try to put those up here for you. But anything helps, and we do appreciate it. If anyone wanted to send a check in, just drop me a quick line, and I'll send you the proper address to send it to. But anything helps. So we're going to try to move things forward and not lay down coming up, because next year, 2026, it's going to get rocky. It's going to get rockier. I knew that this year was going to be bad, and I tried to give people a heads up about the violence, but the violence is not going away. It's going to be the new normal, and it's going to get worse. It's going to be more random. This is by design, to try to interject fear and to make people stay away from cultural events, things like that. Christmas is not going to be well received by many of these people with terrorist ideas. So be careful when you're out in public. If you see something that looks a little fishy, somebody out of place, it doesn't hurt to walk up to a police officer and say, something seems funny over here. I'm not sure. You need to check it out. These types of things. It's not being mean. It's not being, what would we say, racist. That word is just being thrown around so much it doesn't mean anything anymore. Being careful and protective is not being racist. So don't let people push you into that corner. Stay out of it. Stay strong. Know who you are. So in the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.